And we are here.
Yeah.
For once, we are starting with Karen here and Lisa not.
Strange.
Oh, and I forgot to mute my video. There we go. So, what are you working on tonight?
Well, I made these leaves for earrings, and I'm going to be trying to make them into bracelets.
Well, I just realized that I buried my project behind my laptop, so I have to take minutes to get that all out. Oh, there's the crochet hook. I am hopefully actually finishing this way overdue Christmas gift from last year, so that I can, start on Christmas gifts from this year.
Makes sense.
I do want to show you though. Okay, so first of all, I have been working on this kind of, what do I call it? Resin rotisserie of a sort. And I have it all up and running. And it seems to have worked pretty well for keeping an even coating. But I do need to change my method a little bit. Oh, we have a Lisa. I have to change my method a little bit in how I coat them and then put them on. But for the most part, it worked. But the only ones that it didn't work on were at a couple of really big ones.
I make camera sideways.
Yeah, at least you're sideways.
Sideways.
I had a couple of really big ones that I think the weight kind of loosened the glue. Because usually once I glue it into place, the hook that I put on it won't turn. But it they weighed too much and they loosened the glue, so they were flopping back and forth as it was turning. So because of that, they were essentially still keeping this relatively, because as soon as it got here, it flopped that way. So this corner was still hanging down most of the time. So it still ended up with a big drip on it. But the ones that weren't flopping back and forth, it seems to have worked very well. So I just have to make sure that they're actually fully steady and not flopping hither, thither, and yon.
There we go. She's upside right again.
Yay!
Yay!
So what are you working on tonight, Lisa?
Huh?
What are you working on tonight?
If I can figure out how to open this. I'm going to try and make some fall leaf earrings.
It's from the bottom. You lift the bottom. Okay.
I figured it out.
I gave her a case of jump rings that she needed, and the case is a little weird. You have to open up the bottom to get it to open up. It's really weird.
That's not only annoying, but seems a little bit frightening. I would think I was about to spill it every time I opened it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I took these out because my ears got a little annoyed, but it happens sometimes. My ears were just sensitive today. But these I wore today, Care.
Ooh, nice.
I got tons of compliments on them.
Yeah. I made those for anybody watching. I made those.
And I had an idea. Because you like doing them as a mismatched set.
Yeah.
You should make each one of the faces of the moon and sell it as a multiple set. So that people can mix and match however they want.
The whole set? Oh, yeah, I was thinking about doing that when I was doing the customizable options.
That'd be really cool.
Because when I put it up on my
cool
site,
idea.
I wanted that, so that they can have, if they really wanted, matching ones if they really wanted. But I think one of the cool aspects of it is that it's mismatched. And the cool thing is that's the the full moon and then the thinnest one that I have. So that's the widest range of variety I can do with the moons.
It's funny because I like mismatched, not really mismatched, differently matched, asymmetrical, matching but not exactly identical sets. But I would struggle with those because I would feel lopsided with one being bigger than the other. So
yeah, that's the only difference, is that because they're made out of resin, there is a slight weight difference on them.
So the what was I going to say? Oh, the having the other options makes sense to me, because I would be more likely to look for two that are different but close enough in size that it wouldn't bother me as much, like a full moon and then like just the next one down from that, just because of my weird sensory things.
Yeah. So I was turning my phone on do not disturb.
You ever see that meme that's like, one person's like, putting your phone on DND is selfish because something, and then the next person's like, look, if you have a problem, or something about like, what if somebody needs you or whatever, and somebody else is like, look, if you have a problem between the hours of midnight and 6 a.m., that's between you and God, TBH. And then the last person is like, I was sitting here for several minutes trying to figure out how you're supposed to be able to put your phone into Dungeons and Dragons mode before I finally figured out that it meant do not disturb.
I totally get that.
Which literally, until I got to the second comment, the first time that I saw that, I genuinely, I'd never heard anybody refer to do not disturb as D&D.
Right?
Or seen it that way. So until I got to the second comment, I genuinely did not know what they were referencing. I was like, how are you putting your phone on D&D?
When you said it, I thought the same. I've never heard it called that either.
The other thing I wanted to show you guys, I got a bunch of charms for Jane Austen necklaces made in varying shapes and sizes, because choice. But this is my favorite, because it has like two sides to it. I have Jane Austen on one side, and then the other one is one of my favorite Jane Austen quotes. It's actually from a letter that she wrote to her sister, but they use it in the, I want to say, late 90s or early 2000s Mansfield Park adaptation. And the quote is, "Run mad as often as you choose, but do not faint."
I like that.
So I have those ready, and I've got another one that I'm working on. I've got some other authors that I'm working on. So I'm trying to get a bunch of those ready over the next couple weeks before the craft fair that we have coming up, and also so that I can get them listed on my website.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch of Halloween stuff done, but I have failed to take pictures or post them. So that is a tomorrow problem after I get off work.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you got work.
Yeah.
Would somebody please just pay me to sit and craft and read?
I'm trying. I think we're all trying to do that. I mean,
right? So, Little Women.
Speaking of reading,
chapters 5 and 6. So you two did it the last couple times, so I'll do a quick recap this time, because these ones I can actually do without forgetting about spoilers.
Yeah, and this time I have actually read the chapters.
Yay! So, my quick recap. Jo kept wanting to go out in the snow, and Meg was like, "Psh, what are you doing? Stay inside." And Joe's like, "I need adventure." So she went out and more or less manufactured a way to accidentally get invited to Teddy Lawrence's house, Lori's house. And he had been sick, was getting better, but still kind of stuck inside. And so she went to cheer him up, and then ended up staying and having tea with him and his grandfather. And then ultimately was the connection for the kids to be able to start playing together, and also the kind of demonstration that his grandfather needed to notice that, oh, he really does need to be around other young people. And then they as they were starting to visit each other more, come chapter 6, Beth was the only one who was feeling too shy and frightened to spend time with them until he realized that he had accidentally scared her. He, the grandfather, realized that he had accidentally scared her, and made sure to invite her to the, in a roundabout, cautiously approaching a skittish deer kind of a way, had invited her to be able to come play the piano in his house anytime she wanted, and without having to interact with any other people. And she enjoyed it so much that she ended up knitting him rather. I'm crocheting. She was knitting him some slippers, and he liked them so much.
I got the impression she sewed them. I didn't realize she knitted them.
I'm
Yeah, I
pretty
thought
sure
she embroidered the fabric.
maybe I thought it said knitted, but at any rate, she made him slippers, and he loved them, and so he gave her a little piano of her own, an upright piano, not like the grand piano in his house, because that would never fit in her house, but still gave her a piano. And she managed to get over some of her shyness because of it, and that's about it.
Just the shock. I think that she went up and hugged him and kissed him on the cheek was just like the shock that he
Right?
had when she did
Oh
that.
my, so cute.
Yeah, I guess she does just say, "I'm going to work him a pair of slippers."
Yeah, it doesn't really say what kind of medium she uses.
Yeah. I was thinking that she knit them probably because I'm crocheting socks.
I assumed embroidered because they went to get fabric and picked out a pattern.
They picked out
That's
a
why I think
pattern.
so. That's why I think so.
Well,
'Cause you-
it would make sense either for it to be sort of like quilted slippers, or stitched and then embroidered. But crochet and knit stuff have patterns too. So I didn't bump against that, but you're right, it probably is sewn. I just hadn't bumped against that and noticed that, oh wait, think that through, because it still made sense to me. And they never said that they were getting fabric specifically. As far as I saw, they said that they were getting the materials. So,
yeah.
but we're jumping
I think
ahead
that's
because
interpretation.
I just really enjoyed these 2 chapters like a lot.
Yeah.
They were really cute chapters.
They were. So that's the quick overview. Going back for a little bit of a deeper look at some things. There was something that I noticed that I wanted to mention, and now I have to see if I can re-notice it because I can't remember what it was. it is funny to me in a lot of ways that they, in many ways, in some ways seem a lot older, but in many ways seem a lot younger than their ages seem like they should be.
I think that has a lot to do with the time frame, like the time that they live in.
The time and also the status class, essentially. Because like poorer people, they refer to them as poor, but they're like poor for high class people.
You know, so they're more like
or for what's expected of them. Yeah, they're more middle class, but like in how we think of middle class today, but class at the time was so much more than, and in some ways almost separate from money. The class and the money tended to come hand in hand, but they aren't the same thing. Whereas today they're pretty much the same thing. So because they kind of had money and lost all of their money, but they come from this line of upper class people, they're still of this class where these class things are expected of them. But they're just not, not something, I don't know, words escape me. I'm just trying to remember. Because there was just one thing that they said, and I know it was in the first 4 pages because that's how much I got read during lunch at work today. And I know that that's where I was when I paused to look it up on my phone. Which reminds me that if I look at my search history, I might be able to find it.
And of course, I do not have my book directly with me at the moment, of course. So,
long part of my work across my desk.
Oh, suburb. That's what it was. They said something about the city, which was more of a suburb or something like that. And
yeah,
my immediate reaction to that was, the word suburb existed back then? Like, to me, that seems like something that would have come about around the same time as like the interstate, you know? And so I looked it up, and the word suburb was first coined back in the 1300s.
Wow. Interesting.
I was like, oh, well, I was off on that one. Okay.
all right. I don't know. I kind of wish they'd have more wiggle.
I think they're cute.
Wiggle, for sure.
They don't really move. They move consecutively, not independently, and I was kind of hoping they'd move more independently.
What?
Okay, this is
What are
the
they
chain
made of?
I've come up with.
It's just like paper leaves. Well, not really paper, but
they're very thin, very thinny, fabricy, almost papery leaves.
The fabric, like fake flower type.
Leaf. Yeah.
You can't see that because my phone sucks, but that's the chain I've come up with the bracelet so far. I'm switching between the 4 and the 6 millimeter.
I like it.
It's a nice little chain. I'm gonna need a lot more than I originally thought.
Lisa, I think that the texture probably makes it hard for them to move independently, but also they're so lightweight. If there was something weightier attached to them, then it might make it easier for them to move independently, but there's still the texture to contend with, and also that changes the appearance by adding more stuff to it. So
yeah, because
I think they're cute.
I spaced them out on the chain so that they'd all be the same direction, and like, because it looks awkward when they're not.
But they're cute. I like them.
Yeah.
All right, so no, I love when Joe's like literally standing there, so like she throws a snowball to get Lori's attention when she sees him sitting in the window, and then she's like talking to him about like, you know, different things to entertain him, and he's like, there isn't anyone I'd like to see. Boys make such a row and my head is weak. And she's like, isn't there some nice girl who'd read and amuse you? Girls are quiet and like to play nurse. And he goes, don't know any, as he's talking to her, and that cracks me up so much.
I laughed out loud.
I don't know any girls. And she's just like, you know us. And he's like, oh, right.
He doesn't think of them as girls.
Well, and they're not really part of his circle. Like they really only met at, I mean, they've been watching each other's houses, wishing to get to know each other, but they only actually met at that one dance.
Yeah, the official at the New Year's party, yeah.
So, like, she's his neighbor and can stand there, like, talking to him, but he wasn't really thinking of them as, like, the circle of people that he knows, because he think of, like, the specific, whoever his grandfather has permitted before, whoever fits within certain.
Right, and he's privately tutored. So it's not like he goes to school.
Right.
I liked how she was standing in the paint.
What?
You know what? One of you else can talk.
I was like, she was gonna talk, and then she stopped.
It's because she started coughing.
I can't breathe. Okay. No, I was saying, I liked when she was standing in front of the painting, and she assumes that it's just Lori who comes back into the library.
And anybody who's read much ever knew that it was not.
Yeah, I knew as soon as the door opened, I'm like, yeah, that's the grandfather.
The door opened and she started talking and didn't turn around. You know it's not going to be who she thought it was.
I also kind of have a feeling that Joe's the kind of person who stick her foot in her mouth a lot.
Yeah.
She's just so blunt about things that I feel like she sticks her foot in her mouth a lot.
And she's just very, like, charge ahead and everything. I love that she fully showed up with kittens.
I know.
Here, as long as I'm coming to amuse you, I brought these. I thought you'd like them.
Beth thought you'd like them. Yeah, I'm like, that's cute.
And even though I know you'll laugh at them. Hey. Where'd my file that I was reading just randomly vanished.
Huh.
I need it. It's my pattern. So then, oh, and I also love her promise to not close the curtain to their parlor so that he would be able to see them having fun.
That was so sweet.
We did learn, I don't know if this was new. I guess they did talk before, because we know that they used to have more money, and I guess they did talk about, like, a grander house or something, but it kind of,
that kind of,
yeah, it kind of slips past me that, oh, they haven't lived here for ever.
Yeah, I always imagined that they lived in that house forever, like.
I'm trying to think what else I want to say. Anyway, but yeah, that one caught me off guard. And then, yeah, his grandfather is very sweet. Although it's concerning, in my opinion, when he says that he doesn't think that Joe would think him so sweet if she caught him in one of his moods. And I'm like, oof, that's.
I think he's been very stern with the boy. And if you think about the history about, excuse me, the history about how he didn't approve of Lori's mother.
Yeah, and he doesn't.
So I
It's-
think that because he likes music and he's a lot like his mother, I think that sometimes
Yeah,
his grandfather gets a little strict with him. And I don't think it's like, I think that's kind of what it's going off of.
I
Like,
think you're right, but my brain first goes to like, is he abusing him? Which
hopefully
I
not.
don't think he is, because I don't think that that's the sort of thing that Louisa May Alcott was including in books like this. But that's where my mind first goes. The other thing is, like, if this was a modern story instead of, and I don't know, maybe even back then this was a thing, but like the trope definitely would be like, he didn't like that his son married a musician, and his son and daughter-in-law died, and he doesn't like when his grandson is too much like the
Musician.
yeah. I was like his grandfather's daughter-in-law, grandson's mother. Anyway, he doesn't like when he's too much like her. Like the trope would be, he doesn't like it because it reminds him of what he threw away by rejecting them because of it. And instead this goes, he doesn't like it because he still doesn't want his grandson becoming a musician and being like his mother. So that intrigued me too.
I'm gonna try another design here. I have another design in my head I want to try.
You try that design, Lisa.
I'm trying to figure out, because I'm working with a different yarn and a different hook than she has, and the gauge that she works with, I mean, one of the things in this pattern is very specifically, you don't have to have a gauge, and she describes it in ways that you can just size it to whatever you're working with, but she has the stitch numbers included for different sizes, and so she's like, single crochet across to the last 7, 9, 9, or 9 stitches, depending on which size. So 7 for the small, but 9 for medium, large, and XL. But because of the yarn that I'm using and the size hook that I'm using, I have 3 more stitches in this row. So do I still stick with 9? Since that's for like medium, large, and XL?
What have been the changes between them before now?
Nothing. It's all been pretty uniform, and this is where you start
This is where
creating
the size
the shape.
starts to change.
What?
Is this where the size starts to change?
Yeah, this is where you're creating the shape for the heel. So it has to taper in a little bit. So you're leaving 9 or 7 or 9 stitches unworked on the end of one row, And then you go again to the end of the other row and use 7 to 9 stitches unworked. And then
I would try 11 if your gauge is a lot smaller and you have extra stitches. I'd try 11.
okay,
Because that'll give you about the same distance that she's looking for.
that sounds right. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so yeah, her whole description of the grandfather as he's standing behind her. I'm sure now that I shouldn't be afraid of him, for he's got kind eyes, though his mouth is grim, and he looks as if he had a tremendous will of his own. He isn't as handsome as my grandfather, but I like him.
I like that he knew their grandfather. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Although they keep saying that as though they only have one grandfather. I'm like, you have 2 parents. Like, even if you only knew one of them, you had 2 grandfathers. But like they just talk about that one grandfather, so it's the only grandparent ever. I get that to a degree because like we had growing up, we had my my mom's parents were my Grammy and grandpa, and then my father's mother was my Grammy, but his father died in a car accident 6 days before he was born. And he had a stepfather, but he died before I was born. And we would talk about them and refer to them as Grandpa Ken and Grandpa Will. But when I was talking about my grandparents, I was specifically talking about 3 grandparents, not 4, or 5. So like I get it to a degree, but it sounds like I don't know that they have any living grandparents from the way that this is written. So the fact that there's just one grandfather who is the grandfather that's referenced, it's like no other grandparents ever existed.
Yeah. I grew up mostly with 3 grandparents.
Apparently.
We only have one living one left, so
We have 2 grandparents left.
no, we don't.
Yes,
Step parents, step grandparent. Okay.
step grandparent. Gotta count them.
In that case, there's 2 have never met and never counted. Don't know if they're alive.
That's true.
Also, remind me, but in last session's stuff, when they were at the ball, and Joe was thanking Lori for the Christmas presents they sent over. Lori was like, no, that was my grandfather, right?
Yeah.
Right?
So then like grandfather, oh, that was the boys' affair.
I think he was just bashful because he is very shy and he just didn't want
Yeah.
them to be like, yeah, it was me. I think he's like, no, I didn't do that. No.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I just think it's cute that they both keep, no, it's him. No, it was from him.
It could have been, it could have been Lori's idea, and then the old man did
I mean,
it.
he's the one who paid for it, I'm sure.
Right. So Lori's crediting his grandfather, and his grandfather's crediting him.
Right. Yeah, I don't think that either of them are like deliberately trying to lie or anything. I just think it's adorable.
I don't have my earring hooks with me, so we're doing this without earring hooks today.
It's a nice little, cute little family thing, I think. I like it.
Yeah. And despite the fact that he is hard on his grandson, like you can tell that he loves his grandson. Like
Yeah.
He's very affectionate. Well, emotionally attached. He's not really like, you know what I mean.
Yeah, even like he tugs on his hair as a by way of caress. Like can't just be gentle to you. You gotta like tweak your nose or yank on your hair. Or...
But he's a boy. You're not supposed to be gentle with boys.
I mean, he even says like, "I'm afraid I've coddled him as though I was his grandmother."
Yeah.
Yay, sexism.
No, in that
So
time it was quite appropriate. Like I
I
don't
know.
I'm using it to create a hole for all my leaves.
It
Uh,
absolutely was at the time. But anyway, so I also love when he he says, tell your mother that I very much like the medicine that she sent over.
it took me a
And
minute to get that too.
but the thing is, she specifically said the blancmange. I never know if I'm pronouncing that right. It's
From
French
my
and
sister Meg. Yeah.
yeah, is from Meg. The flowers are from it. The kittens are from Beth. And mother gave me permission to come. Like and then she's just like, I guess he meant the soup. And she's just like, no, he meant you. Like the soup was not from mother.
It took me a minute too. Though I'm like, but her mother didn't give him anything. Brilliant.
Mhm.
know.
Oh,
Is it sad if I think that Joe and Lori would make a cute little couple, even though they're both teenagers? Like, I think they're cute. I've never read the story and I have no basis. I just think they're cute. Why? Because I'm a shipper. That's
I am a
why.
shipper too. And I am not going to comment on any of that because there's a whole lot more book to go.
Yeah, there's a whole lot more book. It's like, oh, I think they're cute. And I'm like, I'm gonna be so disappointed at some point. I just know it.
see, like I am really finding that I like Beth a lot. Like I
do
think
too.
Beth is the most precious thing.
Yeah,
When
see,
I was
I relate Lisa to Beth as well. Like,
when I was younger, I didn't like Beth as much because I thought that she was just boring and like she's a forgettable character. And then like the older I got, the more I could like appreciate Beth for the character that she is. And like she's not the wild child and she's not the one constantly trying to put on airs. She doesn't have those, but like as a kid, like, oh, well, she's sweet and kind was very forgettable to me. And I guess now I'm just like, that's not a forgettable thing anymore. That's a thing that this world needs a whole lot more of.
I like Joe. She's wild, adventurous, tomboyish, and she loves
You
books.
relate. I think of Joe a lot like you, Karen. Very wild. Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, I don't know if I'll be able to actually do any more of this while also talking because these are this is right here, the directions get a bit complicated.
I may have to trade out the sleeve. It's not working with me.
Oh, Lisa, you weren't here when I was telling Karen, but I did get my for lack of a better term, my resin rotisserie functional. And I used it for the first time last night. One of the things that I didn't mention is that some resin drained onto the clips while I was like getting resin onto other pieces. And so I'm gonna have to spend some time dislodging some of the pieces that have kind of gotten resined to the clips. But for the most part, it seems to have worked very well, except for the ones that were where did I set? Oh, here it is. Like,
Because that was
these,
strong when it first came on, how it had the
yes,
extra drip spot.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. But like these ones worked really well. I maybe put the resin on a little bit too thick in spots because I was concerned that it would still drain and spread out a bit. But for the most part, it seems to have really worked well. I'm not sure honestly, if this size is going to be feasible. I mean, not a lot of people are going to want like that size and weight necessarily. It'll work more as a necklace, but even then, it's just so hard to get the resin coating on the way that I want it. But
Yeah.
I do also have silicone mats that I can lay them down on, so I can see if I can coat all sides evenly without creating a matte spot, at least for the bigger pieces like this. But I don't like using that for everything because it does still drain and end up needing a new coating on the top or something, which gets frustrating to me. But I'm just excited because I built this whole entire thing, and I put this motor in and attached the wires to the motor and everything.
You built it yourself and you're proud.
I did done do it. Had more yarn over here. I wonder where it went.
Not a clue.
I have like this one's going to go into this sock as well because this is almost at the end. So then I need the other one for the other sock. The other two for the other sock, rather. So anyway, okay, so he has
I like
dark,
how
dark
Sorry, go
skin and handsome black eyes, which are attributed to his being Italian, but for some reason his pretty manners are also attributed to him being Italian and not to him being raised with manners.
I'm sorry. I'm married to an Italian man, and Lisa refers to me as Joe, and I like Joe with Lori, who's part Italian.
oh. Like I'm finding the ship up in my head. This ship will work.
So when I was reading the titles of the upcoming chapters during our last session, I read the title of chapter 6, Beth Finds the Palace Beautiful, and I said it with that cadence, like she thinks that the palace is beautiful, when it was actually saying Beth finds the palace beautiful. I didn't realize that Palace Beautiful was a title. And I do, as soon as I read that part where they were talking about Pilgrim's Progress, I remember that from Pilgrim's Progress, but I haven't read that in over a decade, and it doesn't come first to mind. But I noticed that the next chapter also has a title that references Pilgrim's Progress.
I haven't read Pilgrim's Progress, so it's like the reference is lost on me.
I think that it's kind of this season in their life, so to speak, because as they continue to get older, I think it kind of works its way out of that. I think it's just because they were making reference to Pilgrim's Progress and in like one of the first chapters, and it kind of is a theme that they're continuing.
Like at the end of chapter 5, that's when we're in 5 and 6, right?
Yes.
At the end of chapter 5, they say that mansion could be their palace beautiful.
Yes. And then Joe pointed out that they have to get past some lions first. So
yeah.
I mean, you don't have to have read Pilgrim's Progress to understand the references, because they make the metaphor clear regardless. And because Pilgrim's Progress is pretty blatantly on the nose with its metaphors. So I love, like, Lori's like fully just running away to go play over there, and his grandfather's like, good lady over there said he probably needs more time, so let him have a holiday. He'll make it up. Up until this moment, like, he's got to stay and study. No, he's got to stay in and study. He has to study all the time. And all of a sudden it's, meh. The Marches said it's fine. It's probably fine. Using music to get Beth talking is just one of
That
my
was
favorites.
so
Yes,
cool.
he
Like, I
realized
like
that
how
she
you
was
noticed how
terrified
skittish
of
she
him.
was.
You are both talking, and I don't know what either of you are saying.
Like he realized that she was like terrified of him. So so he just does this. He does this little secretive talking to the mom while really talking to the child thing.
Yeah. He does it so masterfully. But that's the thing, like, Beth is like 13, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's 12 or 13. Yeah.
It just sounds like she's like 8 most of the time.
I know.
I think it's because she's so shy.
Yeah, but even then, it's like just the way that it describes her, like,
Meek and tiny and
hopefully looking up to him and him bending down to kiss her forehead, like it makes her sound shorter than she probably is. It makes it like toward the end of chapter 6 he sits her on his knee.
I know, it makes her look small.
It just seems like he's like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she might be a little small.
I mean, she probably is. But it's still, I don't know. It just makes it seem like she's younger. Younger.
Well,
Anyway.
She didn't oh, that's my brain. She didn't she didn't go to school with the others. She didn't do schoolwork at home, I think. Because she was too shy for school.
Yeah.
Joe mentioned that when she was talking to
Yeah.
Lori.
Yep.
I have to say, like, so
Which may make her seem a little younger.
Yeah, but
sorry, go ahead.
No. I actually finished processing what Karen said, and my next sentence doesn't actually make sense.
I've really, really liked this chapter. Okay, chapter 6 was,
I do.
because it's like,
Guys, this makes a
she
great
gets
toggle
invited
class
to
bracelet,
go.
doesn't it? They're both the ends. Neither one's the circle.
Whoops.
Been there.
Yep.
Like, she's so shy. She wants to be a part of this. So he kind of just leads her into it. And then he starts feeling like it's his own granddaughter again, you know? And it's so cute. And it's so precious. It is so precious, the entire chapter. Like them even sneaking around to let her play and make her think she's alone. I'm just like, oh, this is so precious.
It is. I did think when they talk about when they're describing the piano and everybody's like gushing over it, the one that he gives her, I mean, and it's like, see the cunning brackets to hold candles and the nice green silk puckered up, and I was like, oh, right, they would have needed to have like candle holders like built into pianos. That makes sense. I just like never even crossed my mind before.
I think about. Oh no, that one fell off.
I love when they say, Miss March, dear madam, and Amy's like, how nice it sounds. I wish someone would write to me so. And said Amy, who thought the old-fashioned address very elegant. And I think that every time my in-laws send something to either of my kids, they always address it to master, whichever child's name. And I mean, that used to be a thing. I mean, in technically, like in proper etiquette, it's still a thing depending on, you know, who you ask. And but like if they're if a girl is unmarried, she's Miss; married, she's Mrs. in like the traditional etiquette. And if a boy is not a man yet, he's master, and then becomes Mister when he's grown. And it's not, even among people who try to follow proper etiquette, it's not as big a thing anymore. But I just think it's cute that they always like address it to master, whichever of my children it's to. But anyway, that's what that made me think of. And then toward the end, I just love, when she went home, he walked with her to her own gate, shook hands cordially, and touched his hat as he marched back again, looking very stately and erect, like a handsome, soldierly old gentleman as he was. When the girls saw that performance, Jo began to dance a jig by way of expressing her satisfaction. Amy nearly fell out the window in her surprise, and Meg exclaimed with uplifted hands, "Well, I do believe the world is coming to an end." It's like the whole thing is like, I can totally see my sisters and I in it.
I think that, like, because you said kissed her forehead, it doesn't say where he kisses her in the book, and that kind of relates to a more innocent time when, you know, that wasn't such a big thing. Creepy elders. Like, and then later when she's thanking him for the piano, it says she kisses him. Again, it doesn't specify where she kisses him, and you obviously assume the cheek. But
Right.
like, it was just very interesting to read that, like, it wasn't specified.
True.
It's like,
I apologize for my dogs.
Did they ever say anywhere how his granddaughter had died?
no.
And was this granddaughter a different granddaughter, or was this Laurie's sister?
I don't know. It actually doesn't specify.
I mean, we do know
First
that
I thought it was a daughter, because he said, "I used to have a little girl like
Yeah.
you." So at first I thought it was a daughter, and then
I
you
did
find
too.
out it was a granddaughter.
And
And I
she
wonder-
might have passed away with Laurie's parents, because I think he only had the one child. So I think it was Laurie's sister, and that his sister and parents died at the same time.
And that would explain why he's severely concerned about Laurie, because he keeps saying that Laurie is fragile and that Laurie, like, he's smothering him like a grandmother because he's so worried about keeping Laurie alive and healthy.
Did they say how they died?
I can't remember.
I don't think they did, but I'm
And they
wondering
didn't
because I
specify.
sometimes accidentally skip stuff. So
I don't think they specified. It's not. I can't really. I don't remember if they specified.
but it would make sense if like the whole family got like, I don't know, what
in
Was it a
Spanish flu
terrible
or something.
carriage accident?
this was earlier than that, because that
You know
came
what I mean, but like a disease.
yeah, but I'm
plague.
trying, well, I was gonna say cholera at first, and so I'm like, wait, was that, like, I'm trying to think of this time frame, what would be likely, tuberculosis maybe. But like, if the whole family got something, and then Laurie was the only one who survived it, and he was like always just a little bit more, a little bit weaker, a little bit more sickly because of it. or something.
That could be.
Because if like the rest of his family died and I mean, even if there was some sort of accident that they died in, that he was there and survived, then that would make sense if there was some sort of damage. It's just that if they all died and he wasn't present at all, he just coincidentally is also sickly, then that, I mean, it's not impossible, it's just
Or it could be that he just thinks of him as fragile.
that's
Maybe.
true. That's true. Although I do think Marmee said something about that she does think that he's a little bit sickly or something, but she might have just gotten that impression because he treats him like that too.
Yeah, because he's always indoors.
So, for next time, we'll be reading Chapter 7, Amy's Valley of Humiliation, and Chapter 8, Jo Meets Apollyon. And I will tell you, those are both Paradise Lost references. Paradise Lost? Nope. Pilgrim's Progress references still.
Like Paradise Lost, I thought it.
Still Pilgrim's Progress references, but Apollyon is in the Bible, in the book of Revelation, is the angel at the bottom of the pit. It's the angel, the demon. I'm trying to remember now. The angel of the bottomless pit, but I don't know precisely. Although Spark notes out Pilgrim's Progress as Apollyon signifies subjection to worldly forces, represents the opposite of the spiritual freedom the main character Christian expresses in leaving behind his worldly existence. That just a thing to know going into Chapter 8. Jo meets somebody that is being compared to this angel of the bottomless pit.
Do we want to quickly show how far we all got on our project?
My second attempt failed because the leaves ripped at a new design, but
I got that flap thing done, and then the little thing here, and then I have to start doing a thing that's going to make it turn the heel, and it's going to take a lot more actual like trying to figure out the individual steps, and I couldn't really do that while talking.
That's what I got.
Well,
those are so cute. I love them. Wait, can you hold it up to your ear? I want to see like a size comparison.
A size reference.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah.
They're so cute. I love them.
Yeah.
No, come on. If I can finish this final jump ring, this bracelet will be complete. But yeah, I'll just put it on for show, I guess.
Is that the resin one?
Yeah. Nope. Oh well.
Oh.
It won't. Yeah.
Very nice. I like it.
I will also show you.
I'm trying to put the last leaf on right here. I'm having issues.
All of my soaps curing over here.
Nice.
I have this is a Pixie Garden scent.
Ooh.
Sort of. It was supposed to be in stripes, but it was hardening too quickly, so I turned it into a swirl instead. And then this is my coffee and coconut.
You were talking about that one. Yeah. Did that come out well with the coffee grinds and the...
Yeah, it doesn't have very much of a scent. And I'll take one of the scrap pieces after it's fully done curing and see what scent comes up while actually washing with it. But I did both of those pretty pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Soft, like moisturizing type soaps. It's one of the difficult balances, making soaps is that the more moisturizing the soap, the softer it likely is, and softer soaps will get gone faster because it dissolves in the water faster. Harder soaps last longer, so they're more economically friendly, but they tend to be harsher for the skin, or at least not have moisturizing properties as much. So it's usually trying to find the right balance of that. And of course, that varies some depending on different skin types, needs, and things too. So I wanted to make the coffee and coconut milk one, which I'm calling Café con leche. Although I might add, if I'm pretty sure I'm calling it Café con leche. Let's put it that way. And then I'm going to do a sugar and coffee scrub.
Mm.
So I'll have Café con leche and Café con azúcar, since they're both made with the Dominican coffee. Yeah, so I wanted that one to be more moisturizing because I was making it with the coconut milk. And because I was putting the coffee grounds in, and as long as you're exfoliating it, you might as well like be moisturizing what's left too. But I just really liked how that particular recipe behaved. So I used the same, different recipe because I wasn't including the milks or coffees, but the same oil base when I made the Pixie Garden one. Anyway, I'm keeping everybody later than 8 o'clock now. So let's get going, and we will be back in 2 weeks, which is on October 25th.